So train, we're talking train today. So I don't know if you noticed over here, the wall difference. So this was an opening in the side of my garage. When we built the house, I wanted a 10-foot wide room on the side for a train. I ended up getting a 6-foot room because they said it wouldn't fit on the lot, and I agree, there's not much space on the side. So I got a 6-foot room instead. So I built this whole, you can tell the different color in the door and all that. And then underneath here, I got storage. So let's go in and take a closer look at everything, and we'll just make it round. This is a March 2025 update. As always, excuse the construction. I'm gonna have to turn the music. I got music up here. It picks up my Spotify when I walk in, as long as my phone's somewhere close. So this little part over here is what I'm working on, this whole lower level. I got the track in the back mostly done because that's the hardest to get to. This is glued down. This section is not glued down. I'll lay out the little town part over here later. I've got everything's lighted. This here is a little, 3D printed all this stuff. Whataburger, I 3D printed this fire station, this Coast Guard station, a little helicopter pad on top. But this tells me what I'm drawing amperage wise on these lights. The lights like are up here, the cars, the houses, and just any lights. And then I'm connecting them down below. Like this is labeled yellow. This is where I would connect lights. Now there's no lights connected here right now. This is just the bus wire for the lights, but I would connect them here. Yellow lights. Red is track, so red's track. Anyway, and I got that throughout underneath here. The top's scenic mostly. This is solar powered. Sometimes it needs to get started and it will go, just keep going. But it's up top here. I got more storage. All these boxes have train stuff in them, so they will disappear after a while. And I planned up here to not have anything stored. It'll be like the pictures, and there's an old cast iron train and whatnot. So down here in this yard, I'm waiting on some more cork. I ran out. If you notice, I got this little retaining wall. So I've been 3D printing this retaining wall. And as I showed you before, I've got these wedges under here. 8 wedges to go up 1 inch, okay? And it's 56 inches long to go up 1 inch. It's a 1.8 degree slope. And these are glued in, these aren't. I've been 3D printing these guys here, and then I'll glue them down after the fact, and then I'll weather them in place more. I've done a rough primer on them, and with the material, the 3D printed material, if you don't prime it before you paint it, the paint will just kind of absorbs in there and it doesn't look right. So if you prime it first, then you can paint whatever color you want, and it looks fine. Anyway, so the walls slope slightly. I got them moved down a little, so there's a little bit of a rise, like a 3 millimeter above the bed here. And that once I'm ready to, when I ballast and everything, that'll keep it from being higher than the wall. I don't want it higher than the wall. I want the wall to be the highest point, but just enough, right? You see here, I've got a straw, a Whataburger straw that I drilled down, and wires will run into wherever I have a straw. Now, I don't have a wire here. I can. I try to do it every other section of track. And then, so I skip this one, but I have it here. And then this track here will also go into the same hole, or I could use the other one. Probably the same hole, because I'll put two of these together and then connect them up to the connector point. But so I go up 3 inches here and then come around, and then again, you see all this track is done. I need to get in here and paint a little bit on the deck here, but these are epoxied in place. All right, I got these done so I could, and the track finished, so I could go ahead and lay this track on top. And I've started to do that over here on the right side, and I just got to move and continue on. This will have in front of it, I'll move this roughly where it's going to be. This will have these in front of it here. You know, this isn't for this is for another section, and this isn't painted yet. But these will cover, they'll be together and cover this, so if I have a derailment, I can come in here and, you know, fix the train. I can reach in here and fix the train on either of those two tracks. You know, trees, I made all these trees fairly easly. They start out as an armature, as a, I don't know, there's the green stakes you get at Michael's or a place like that, a craft store. I guess they're for, well, I don't know what they're for. I just know they're green little pieces of metal about as long as a piece of paper here. And I cut them in half, and then I fold them in half. And then this is macrame that I cut macrame in strips and then separate it from a thicker piece to these thin pieces. And you stick them in between the two pieces of wire, hold one end with a vice grip tight, connect the other end into a drill bit, electric drill, and then spin it. And the macrame flares out. This is one of the worst ones, but when you put the stuff on it, it doesn't look bad. And then you just trim it and then put the stuff on it. And if you notice, I've got holes here. See this hole? And I don't glue my trees in, because if I want a different look, I can move trees around. And I don't need to glue them. And if you see this is a 3D printed. This is something for trees. I made these, and I got different sizes. I think I put in a box all the rest of them, but I got different sizes of these as far as closeness together, and singles even. In fact, here's a single one down here. Bring it up here. Here's a single one. And I got different heights too. So what I'll do is I'll glue this, let's just say here. I want 4 trees here. So maybe I'll put them like this, right? And I'll glue these trees here, epoxy, down. Then I take sand, regular, everyday place sand. Here's some in a bucket. I don't really want to pour this out, but I'll pour this out to whatever depth I want. Okay, you can see it here, whatever depth. And to make it to where it's covering up most of this tree, and I'll go ahead and now, let's just say these are glued down. I'll put toothpicks in them, just like that, so I don't cover my hole, with sand or other scenery. And then I'll come in and I'll paint the sand. You can kind of see some of the paint on the edge here. and then I'll put dirt down, and I'll put the green foliage for the grass and stuff. And I'm using static grass on most places. Not all, but most. And then after that, I'll go plant the trees. I've got my toothpick there, so I know where all the trees are. If you notice down here, you see all these toothpicks. I cut them because they were tall in my way. But I ran out of trees. So this is why these don't have trees. But they're going to be all around here, and then other places that I want them to be. And I'll do that, or I'll pre-plan holes in the scenery when I 3D print. So you see, this tree doesn't have any dirt around it. It's coming right out of the side of that 3D print. So on the 3D printing, when I print, I got to think ahead, and I put tree holes. I don't have to use them all, but I put them in there. And then I can go from there. Now, I can always drill with a small drill bit where I want a tree also. Same with the foam. But they don't stand. See, with this, the tree don't go nowhere. It stands up straight and it never bends over. If you put it in the foam, eventually, somebody will bump it and it'll move down. But back to the lower level. So I'm going to have a bridge across here. And two bridges. This is going to be a reverse loop coming on over the other side. And I'll have another reverse loop on the other end down there by the start of the yard. So I want different bridges than the one I got over here. I want them all different. And that's a test car I got underneath there to make sure everything clears good. It's kind of my longest car, and not quite the highest, but it's the longest. I've got some containers that are a little higher. I got track laying going on down here. I typically do 1 or 2 pieces a day just because, if you lay track, it's hard on the fingers on these little rail joiners. So I only lay a couple a day and just keep on going. I'll ballast kind of so far as I go a little bit. And then once I'm done, in this dry, then I'll just take all these pins out. And I got my little old peanut butter jar there. And I'll go ahead and move them, save them for the next thing, right? So that's with that. Then this whole lower level is going to be DCC, digital command control. The top here is a combination of DCC and DC. So DC, this controller here is DC, and you notice the circuit going here. What happens is I've got these 2 trains up here, these commuter trains. This one will go, he comes down, there's a switch over here. Again, none of this is finished. There's nothing on this entire layout that's finished. But I do stuff as I go. And he starts down the hill. He comes down to ground level, call it ground level, by the time it hits this bridge, because this bridge is removable. The entire thing can lift out if I need to do work on the electrical panel here. All right. But he'll come down here, head back up that hill, and I don't know if you can see the eyes over there on those gray blocks at the end. You'll see when he gets to those, he's going to stop. The electric eye is connected to that circuit back there that I showed you. And the train will come down here, he'll stop, reverse in 12 seconds, and go the other way. Then he's going to come, and you see the eye right over here. And then the same thing in these two buildings, which are hiding the eye. You know, that one's in several parts, but they're hiding the eye, so you don't really know, but it's there for that train. So when he stops at the far track, then 12 seconds will go by, a switch will switch down there, that switch you saw. Then this guy will do the same route as that white train just did. And the process just continuously stays the same all the time. So you see he's going to go through there. He'll go down there and he'll stop. Then you'll hear the switch go. Maybe you can see it go here. I'm reaching up. I don't ever see it. That's why I got this one on a wired. There he goes. And then off with the bullet train. So this whole upper level, like I said, he's DC. Both those two trains are DC. According to the guy who did this circuit, you can't do this with DCC. So, but this outer loop's DCC. This inner loop just goes around this 10-foot section. It's DC. And then those are DC. So, but the outer loop's DCC, and then it's just basically one big loop, but it's folded over dog bone style. Down here, it's actually one track that doubles up. So in other words, this train here is going to make its way up the hill, come around here. He's going to be on the upper level. He's going to go outside on the far side of this wall here, come back in right here, come back out right here, come around, come down this way on this track here, which is same one as this, and then come around back down on the inside track here. All right, come all the way down. Now he's on the inside track here, and then coming around here and down through a yard, 16-foot yard, I think it is. Now he's on the outside track here. He'll go on the outside where that green train going under the bridge, and he'll stay on that outside. And I'll go show you this outside real quick. This outside here, he'll come in here. There's a green train there. He'll come in here along here, go through this tunnel. I just exposed it, one, to reach in case I need to. Two, it's visually interesting for people standing out here. I'll finish this tunnel this way. This part, you know, I may expose it longer, but it's a curve. It's a little more challenging. But either way, I'll create this tunnel up to that line, that demarcation line. And if you notice on this side, the kind of orangey desert kind of color, it'll be muted down some. I've got a lot of weathering and stuff to do on it. It'll mute down quite a bit, but it's going towards that direction. For the grass, like I would put in the other sections, I found, if you go to PetSmart, they have lizard litter. It's like cat box sand, but it's for lizards. And it's got little rocks and stuff in it. And that works great for desert. I did it before on a layout, and I'll do it here again. If you notice these sand right here, these two sections of sand started out as one of these ditches. These ditches have a straw in them going underneath to where I can connect the track wire to the center here. Since this is solid underneath here, I can't go down below like I did everywhere else. So I go to the center, and on these posts, you see that red one right over here. That's where the track power will be. The track power is there, track power is on this side over here behind that, on that post. And then I'll just build around it so I can, easily pick that up. Because these two parts up top, I can pick up and move to get to stuff easier. And they'll stay like that. I'll always have them movable. The bottom three that this is sitting on is glued down permanently because I got track sitting on it. I don't want anything moving with track on it, obviously. And then I got a yard I got to finish here, or a little siding for the oil and stuff, and I'll move it. None of this is in its final spot. These end pieces aren't even glued down. These are the only sections that aren't glued down yet. I'll glue those down shortly. But and then I got these controllers. I got here, you can plug 2 controllers in. I got down there, you can plug 2. Got here, you can plug 2. Got here, you can plug 2. I got place you can set to just in this location. Everywhere else I can plug in one and set it here. But if you need to move around with the DCC, you can do that. And then I even have one out here. Not that I'll be running from out here much, but if I have to re-rail a train or something and get to it and work on it, there's one parked here, then I can open this door, slide it open, and then I've got this one here. I don't know if I'll put a place to keep a controller out here. I don't want to, because this is not heated, this is not air conditioned. Inside is. So that's the March update. I know not too long ago I showed you all this part of it with the slopes and everything, and this is what I've done. A lot of 3D printing, a lot of finagling goes into the 3D printing, because you gotta really. This doesn't belong here. That's 3L. What's this guy? Yeah, 1L. Yeah, and I numbered them on the back. That's 3L. That's in 1L. Somewhere there's a 2L. There's a 2L. So 3 goes on this side of 2. And then 1 slopes down. So before you glue them down, you want to make sure they're in order. Otherwise, you're going to curse it yourself for quite a while. You need to hit this one up with a little bit more of the paint. It's got a few light spots. But, again, once they're weathered, all that stuff will go away. I don't need to weather them now. So, any questions, drop me a note. And yes, I have lights down underneath here, because when I'm trying to connect wires underneath, it helps me see a little better. Sometimes it gets in your eyes, but it helps more than it doesn't. So, yeah, thanks for watching.